Good morning, students, and welcome to the chemistry lecture, paper number 3, thermodynamics. And all of you know, due to COVID-19 pandemic situation, you are learn with online mode. And yet there is no any question from your side regarding the understanding. I hope you will understand better, or you can understand well. So for the last lecture you have studied the spontaneous and non-spontaneous processes, and all of you are very well aware the definitions and examples of the spontaneous processes. Here, a spontaneous process is that process which occurs on its own accord. And remember that all spontaneous processes are natural, unidirectional. They takes place without addition of external energy, while non-spontaneous processes are made to happen by adding external energy. That means non-spontaneous processes are reversible and hypothetical processes here. Then the opposing force is much less than the driving force in case of spontaneous processes. Due to their unidirectional nature, the opposing force is a very much less than the driving force. And in case of non-spontaneous process, the driving and opposing forces differ, differ by a very small amount. Then the next distinguishing character in between the spontaneous and non-spontaneous processes, it is that equilibrium is attained only when the process is complete, while in case of non-spontaneous processes there is an equilibrium at every stage. At every stage equilibrium is attained in case of hypothetical processes or non-spontaneous processes or reversible processes. Then the fourth characteristic here, as opposing force is much less, a lot of energy is dissipated or wasted, and we cannot get a maximum work in case of spontaneous processes. And in case of non-spontaneous processes, the driving and opposing forces are nearly equal, and due to this we can get a maximum amount of work. Then the spontaneous processes, they may be fast or slow. Spontaneous processes, they may be fast or slow, and the non-spontaneous processes are slow one. And the example of spontaneous process here, the flow of river from mountain to the towards sea, it is the spontaneous process. Again, the flow of heat from hot body to the cold body, it is also a spontaneous process. Then in nature, all the processes that occurs, all that processes are natural processes. Then the example of non-spontaneous process here, the reversible expansion of an ideal gas. These are the distinguishing characters in between spontaneous and non-spontaneous processes. I hope you have understood well the first law of thermodynamics. Then we will see the next point, and that next point here it is here, the second law of thermodynamics and its statements. The next point of your syllabus. It is the second law of thermodynamics and its different statements. As you have learned the first law of thermodynamics, and that law, it is concerned with the conservation of energy, and simply the one form of energy, it will transformed into another form of energy. And this first law of thermodynamics does not tell us why a spontaneous reactions proceeds in a one direction and not in a opposite direction. Here, first law does not tell us why spontaneous processes occurs in a one direction and not in the opposite direction. Again, the first law does not provide the information about the practical probability of any process. The first law is unable to put any restriction on the source of heat and its direction of flow. It does not give the information about the spontaneity of the reaction, direction of the reaction, and extent of the chemical change. That means if a chemical, if one form of energy it get converted into another form, then the information regarding this change, that means whether this change is spontaneous or non-spontaneous, then what is the extent of the change, what is the percentage of the change that the one form of energy it get converted into another form of energy, then the conditions under which the absorbed heat it will get converted into the work, under which condition that change occurs. Such kind of information we do not have from the first law of thermodynamics, and this information is vitally essential for the chemist. नाहीत, कोणच नाही. The first law does not give any idea regarding the ease or extent or convertibility of one form of energy into another. That is, it is unable to state the conditions under which the absorbed heat energy will be converted into work. Hence, there is a need of second law of thermodynamics. All these inabilities of first law of thermodynamics form the basis of all these inabilities of the first law form the basis of second law of thermodynamics, which gives the conditions or limitations under which heat energy can be converted into other form of energy. Thus, for establishing the limitations governing the transformation of heat into work and predicting the direction of spontaneous process under a given set of conditions, there is a need of second law of thermodynamics. And remember that the scientists Clausius and Kelvin put forward the second law of thermodynamics, and in short, the law or the conditions under which the maximum conversion of heat into work takes place, and the spontaneity or direction of the change, it will explained with the help of second law of thermodynamics. And any statement which explains the spontaneous process, it is the statement of second law of thermodynamics. It is the statement of second law of thermodynamics. Remember that the Clausius and Kelvin put forward the second law of thermodynamics, and it simply tells us that the conditions under which maximum conversion of heat into work takes place, and it explains the spontaneity of the change. Any statement which explains these criteria, it is the second law of thermodynamics. Here they have given the different statements of second law of thermodynamics. Here the heat cannot pass of its own accord from a colder body to a hotter body. That means the flow of heat from cold body to hot body, it is not possible. Then the next statement here, all naturally occurring processes tend to proceed in a direction in which equilibrium will takes place. That means the all naturally occurring processes, they attain equilibrium at the end of the process. And remember that the state of equilibrium, it is the state of rest. Then all spontaneous processes are irreversible, and irreversible means they takes place in a one direction, unidirectional. So all natural processes are irreversible. Then every natural or spontaneous process leads to the dissipation or wastage of energy. That is, energy cannot be completely converted into work. This is also a statement of second law of thermodynamics. Then it is impossible for self-acting machine to convey heat from a body at low temperature to the body at higher temperature without aid of any external energy. This is also a statement of second law of thermodynamics, and it is impossible to construct a machine which will convert heat into an equivalent amount of work without addition of external energy. Or the another statement of the second law of thermodynamics, the entropy of universe increases while free energy decreases, and the total energy of the universe, it remains always constant. It is also a statement of the second law of thermodynamics. Or the universe is expanding. This is also a statement of second law of thermodynamics. And for the next lecture, I will explain you what is the entropy. You know, entropy, it is a thermodynamic term. It is denoted by letter S, and it is a thermal property, and it remains constant during adiabatic change. And the mathematically entropy, it is given by the ratio of heat absorbed to the temperature at which temperature is absorbed by the system. Okay, then the second law, depending on the concept of entropy, I will repeat it once again. Here the entropy of the system decreases, free entropy of the system, it increases, then free energy decreases, while total energy, it always remains constant. This is the statement of second law of thermodynamics, which is based on the concept of entropy. And uh, and the for the next lecture, I will explain you the Carnot cycle. Here, the Carnot cycle, it is a cyclic process and it consists of 4 steps. The 4 steps of Carnot cycle are: first step, it is a isothermal expansion. Second, adiabatic expansion, isothermal compression, third step, and fourth, adiabatic compression. And after performing the fourth step, we arrive at the initial state, that is the isothermal expansion. And all of you know, in case of cyclic process, the change in internal energy delta E, it is equal to 0. Similarly, delta P, it is equal to 0. Delta Phi, it is equal to 0. And remember that in case of adiabatic process, the change in Q, that means Q remains constant. No heat is absorbed or no heat is given out from by the system. This is the Carnot cycle. Remember, we have to derive the equation for efficiency depending on the Carnot cycle. So, tomorrow we will see the Carnot cycle, its 4 steps and the work done in the steps.